Hey y'all, so I just recently got to travel solo to visit my brother in New York City, and it was honestly so fun. I walked a ton, ate a lot of sushi, drank a few too many margaritas, and of course, did a bookstore crawl. So, in this video today, I'm just going to show you all of the bookstores that I visited, and I'm going to give a bonus book haul at the end to show you which ones I bought and one book that I got in the mail while I was gone. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the first bookstore that I got to visit, it was on my very first day there. I had just gotten in on my flight. I walked over to the Ripped Bodice, and it's basically a bookstore that specializes in romance. It was the cutest store I've ever seen. It was so aesthetic and definitely on the top of my list for all of the bookstores that I visited on this trip. There were so many cute decorations. There were books. There were shelves titled for cute prompts. There was one that said, "Who did this to you?" And of course, I was obsessed with that one. I had to find a book on that shelf, and I did eventually buy a book. And I'll show you which one that is at the end. But also their blind date with a book section was so cute. It gave you just enough in the prompt to not feel like you're getting overly specific, but also not to where you were just getting 3 words to describe the book. I really, really like that. So the next bookstore that I visited was on my next day in New York. I went to Book Club Bar first thing in the morning. I picked up a coffee and then I went and I sat on their patio area after buying a book, of course. It was so cute inside. I honestly wish I would have gone later in the day so that I could have gotten a glass of wine, just sat and read a little bit, but the coffee was nice too. This wasn't so much of a bookstore as it was like a gathering place, so keep that in mind, but it still had a ton of selections for books that you could buy. The next bookstore that I went to was the Strand Bookstore. It's basically one of the biggest bookstores in New York City. It had a ton of selections, but unfortunately, like, they were doing some construction at the top, so I couldn't get a really good picture of the title of the bookstore. But inside they had really cute blind date with a book options, and I bought one of those. But they also had this $3 to $7 section outside where you could just go through the books and find some really cheap ones. I didn't find anything there, but I did get to see a ton of people lined up outside to sell their books to Strand Bookstore so that they could get some money back after reading them. I really thought that was cool because the line was insane. Anyway, this was like probably the bookstore with the biggest selection, obviously, and if you're looking for something very, very specific, you're most likely going to find it here. The next one I visited right after that was Bibliotheque. I think that's how you pronounce it. It was super, super similar to Book Club Bar. So honestly, if you're going through bookstores that you want to visit in New York City and you're kind of between a few, I would either choose Bibliotheque or Book Club Bar. Book Club Bar had a lot more cozy vibes, and it had the outdoor patio area, which I really, really enjoyed because it was a little more private. Bibliotheque felt more upscale. It didn't feel as much like a bookstore as Book Club Bar did. Book Club Bar had more bookstore vibes. Bibliotheque just felt upscale bar type thing where you sit down, you read, you maybe like drink a glass of wine at night. That's what this one felt like. So if you're going to visit one or the other, my choice is Book Club Bar, but I really still did enjoy Bibliotheque, even though I didn't buy anything from this bookstore. The next one I visited, probably the second top on my list right under the Ripped Bodice, was the Drama Bookshop. This bookstore was tailored specifically to like theater and movie scripts and screenplays and all of that stuff. It was one of the most aesthetic bookstores that I visited right under the Ripped Bodice, and I really, really enjoyed looking into this bookstore. As someone who loves Broadway and had just seen maybe Happy Ending the day before, I really loved going into this bookstore and seeing all of the scripts, all of the plays, all of the books related to theater. It was really great. And they also had songbooks for a lot of my favorite musicals. I almost bought Legally Blonde's songbook, but I decided not to. But this one was so fun to explore. They also had a cafe there. I didn't end up buying anything because I didn't find anything that I would really enjoy having in my collection or reading, but I still really enjoyed visiting this bookstore. The coolest thing about this bookstore is that they had this huge book sculpture. It's basically like a twirl of books all twirling around the ceiling, and it's like this line of books. I think they're fake books, I really do. And then it goes into an explosion into the wall, and there's pages everywhere. And so it was really cool seeing that. And it was like the coolest thing in this bookstore. Okay, my second to last bookstore that I visited was called Argosy. It probably was my least favorite on this bookstore crawl just because it wasn't something that was necessarily interesting to me. I did do research before going to New York City to kind of find the top ones that I wanted to visit because I knew I didn't have a lot of time to run around New York City. And if you know how long it takes to get places, you would know why I made a shorter list, but it has a great vibe. You walk in, you definitely get this antique feel. The books smell old, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know that smell. But Argosy specialized in rare books and maps and basically older collections. So I'm not a book collector per se, so this didn't really intrigue me as much as the other ones, but it had a really great vibe and the decorations inside were great. There were portraits lining the very top of the wall, all in Argosy, and there was this amazing wooden model of a ship hanging from the ceiling that I really enjoyed, and I took a picture of that. But definitely didn't buy anything from here because it was really expensive, and also you're not going to find anything newer than 100 years old. The very last bookstore that I got to visit was called Albertine or Albertine, not 100% sure. Anyway, so I didn't find anything to buy here, unfortunately, but I really enjoyed this bookstore. It's basically a French bookstore, and it has French books and English books, although there were way more French than English. When you walk into this bookstore, you are basically transported to another continent. This felt like Europe, and I've been to Europe a couple times, so walking into this building, you could feel like the architecture and all of the vibes. Everyone in there spoke French. It was really cool. But what I liked the most about this one is when you're walking into this bookstore, you see a statue of Le Petit Prince, like the little prince, and it was so cute because that was one of my favorite stories for children. And so I went in there hoping that I could get an English version for my daughter. Unfortunately, they did not have an English version, but I really enjoyed seeing the statue, and I enjoyed going upstairs, which was where the main attraction was, to the children's section. The ceiling is gorgeous, you guys. So the ceiling has hand-painted constellations, stars, and planets. And oh my gosh, it was so pretty. Walking up the stairs and seeing that ceiling was just amazing. It was dreamlike. But unfortunately, in the children's section, I couldn't find an English version of The Little Prince. And I was really upset about that because I wanted one for my daughter. So I guess I'll have to keep searching. But that was the last bookstore. If I had to choose my top 3, it would be the Ripped Bodice, the Drama Bookshop, and then Albertine, because I really enjoyed those 3. And they had the cutest little aesthetics. Now, there are a couple of bookstores that I didn't get to visit. My sister, she was like, why aren't you visiting this bookstore? Apparently it's the Pickle Bookstore. I'm not even sure what it's called. Sorry, Sweet Pickle Books is what it's called. I did not have time to visit this one. My sister was like, oh, Harry Styles went here. But I didn't get to check it out. I also really don't like pickles. Not that this really correlates with my books, but I didn't get to go to this one. I heard that a lot of good things about this bookstore. I just didn't have time to make it to all of the bookstores in New York City. Like I said, my top 3, the Ripped Bodice, the Drama Bookshop, and Albertine, and I really enjoyed those 3. Definitely add those to your list if you're going to do a bookstore crawl in New York City. But let's go ahead and move on to the book haul to see what I brought home. Okay, so the very first book that I bought on my trip to New York City was Broken Harbor by Catherine Cowles. So I bought this one, obviously sprayed edges, we love that, but I bought this one because it was under the shelf Who Did This to You, and I really wanted a book under that shelf because I love drama, and so I got this one from the Ripped Bodice. Cannot wait to get into it. Apparently it's part of a series, not series, kind of like Lucy Score's Things We Never Got Over, in the same realm, I think, but different stories overall, so I'm really excited to get started on this one. The second book that I bought while I was in New York City is called 12 Hours in Manhattan by Mon Gabriel. So you guys probably obviously know why I bought this. I bought this in Book Club Bar. It spoke to me because Manhattan and I was in New York City. So yeah, got this one. It's a pretty short one. It's a little romance, so I'm really excited to read this too. Okay, moment of truth. This is the blind date with a book that I bought from the Strand Bookstore, and so I'm going to open it with you guys and see what it is. Hopefully, I'm really hoping that it's not something that's already on my shelf, so we'll see. Okay, looks good. Oh, uh-oh. Okay, I definitely don't have this one. I thought for a second that I did. Okay, this is Better Than Fiction by Alexa Martin. Have any of you guys ever read this, and is it good? Because I want to know. This is such a cute little book. And it's short too, because I like the short ones. I don't like super long books. And I love the cover. So I'm really excited with this. This is going to be a cute blind date with a book. The last book that I bought in New York, I had to get it. Basically, it's a book trophy. I didn't end up buying it from any of the bookstores because I didn't see it there, but I had to get this book, Jennifer Weiner's The Griffin Sisters' Greatest Hits. I just read an advanced reader copy of this a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and it had, look at these gorgeous sprayed edges. I almost bought it from Amazon, but I ended up buying it in the airport heading home from New York City. This was the very last book that I got, and probably the very last one that I could fit in my suitcase. So there's that. I would have had to buy another bag to bring as a carry-on or check bag if I would have bought any more books. So I stopped there. But anyway, I bought this book. I did a review on it. I absolutely really adored the atmosphere for this novel, and it gives you Daisy Jones and the Six sort of vibes. So had to get the book trophy. It had the gorgeous sprayed edges. I just had to do it. All right, so the last book in my book haul, this wasn't something that I got in New York City, but I had to include it because it just came in. It's a new release. Emily Henry's Great Big Beautiful Life. It was supposed to come in before I left for New York. So I was really upset that it didn't come in, even though I already had the audiobook because I had to have the audiobook and the hardback, of course. But the hardback didn't come in until after I got home from New York, so I was a little upset about that, but that means that I get to include it in my book haul. I love Emily Henry. This one was probably my second favorite of her books under Happy Place, and I would love to hear what you guys thought of this book. Okay, there you have it. That was my New York City bookstore crawl. I had so much fun going to visit my brother. I ate way too much, I walked way too much, and I bought way too many books because I almost had to get a new bag to store all of my books. Anyway, I want to know if you've ever been to New York City, what bookstores you recommend, and if you like any of the books that I got in my book haul. Comment down below or subscribe if you like this video because I do videos like this all of the time and I really enjoy talking about books. So I'll see you guys later. Bye!